All right, folks, welcome back to the SC-100 course. I hope you are taking some breaks, getting something to eat, something to drink, but the mind does need time to rest. I'm providing you a lot of information. So in the last couple of videos, what we did is we went through some PowerPoint slides. We talked about Microsoft Entra. We also talked about some of the identities and the different types of categories of identities and also zero trust. This slide that's on the screen is reference back to one of the old videos where we were talking about Entra external identities. In this case, we're talking about B2B, business to business, and B2C, business to customer. So what I want to do is just recap this really quickly, but we are going to go in front of the Azure portal. These are the videos I really like working on because these ones are you get your hands dirty, and I am very techy. I like to talk about technology, but doing it is what really makes me feel good. So I'm going to jump over to the Azure portal. So we're going to actually get to the Entra Admin Center. I could go and do this in the Azure portal, but I figured let's go through the Entra Admin Center just so you all can get familiar with the layout of the Entra Admin Center. So a lot of these settings you can get in the Azure portal. There are some that are just within the Microsoft Entra Admin Center. What I'm going to focus on is we're talking about configuring external collaboration, right? So this video is how can we secure our environment for B2B. So you're going to go into identities here, and then when you get to identities, we're going to go to external identities, and we're actually looking for external collaboration settings. Now, this is definitely going to be on the test. There are going to be questions on the test about managing and making sure that your external identities are configured correctly, and how can you secure your environment. Now, Azure, out of the box, is going to have certain settings that aren't really the most secure. Now, they do this purposely because they don't know exactly what you need. Every organization is a little bit different. So let's start off with guest user access. So guest user access, if we come over here, it gives us a definition. This setting determines whether guests have full access to enumerate all users and group memberships, limited access to other users and memberships, or no access to other users and group memberships as well. So the information is pretty much down here, same thing, right? Down here it says most inclusive, and down here it says most restrictive. Remember, we were talking about least privilege. This is a least privilege setup, right? So this is your least privilege for your guest users, what they have access to. Now, if I'm setting this up, I don't need the guest users to be able to view what's going on in my Microsoft Entra tenant. So I would probably go to this one. So guest users is restricted to properties and memberships of their own directory. So meaning they can only see what's with their identity. Then we get here, we have guest invite settings. So anyone in the organization can invite guest users, including guests and non-admins. Is that something that you really would want? Basically, what that means is, think of somebody coming over to your house and then inviting somebody else to your house without talking to you. I don't think you would want that. So from a electronic perspective or virtual perspective, that is the best analogy I can think of. And I'm pretty sure most of you would say absolutely not. Members, users, and users assigned to specific admin roles can invite guest users, a little bit more restrictive. Then only users assigned to specific admin roles can invite guest users, and then no one in the organization can invite guest users, including admins. This is the most restrictive. This is a test tenant, so obviously, my settings aren't going to be as secure, but they're going to be secure enough so that no one can, jump in and start doing stuff. Then we have enable guest self-service sign up via user flows. If you want to do that, if you hover over here, it says yes means that you can enable self-service sign up for guest users flows associated with applications in your directory. No means that the applications cannot be enabled for self-service sign up by guest. Then you have external users leaving settings. So this is allow external users to remove themselves from your organization, which is recommended, or you can say no if you don't want to allow people to remove themselves. And then finally, the last option down here is collaboration restrictions. So cross-tenant access settings are also evaluated when sending an invitation to determine whether the invite should be allowed or blocked. Allow invitations to be sent to any domain, deny invitations to specific domains, and then allow invitation to only to specified domains, most restrictive. I would go with allow invitation to only specified domains. You want to make sure that you have a green light. Okay, this is the domain that we're fine with. So think of this from a networking perspective. If you have a VPN set up, you're not going to now allow anyone to have access to your internal network. You would say, I am only going to allow the VPN connection. I will establish a VPN connection, and I would only have a connection to some partner I'm working with, and they would probably be isolated to a network that they need access to. Because you also got to think what happens on their end if somebody gets compromised, and then now that person's account gets compromised. They see, oh, they have access to another environment. They go into the other environment, and now they go rogue. So think of it from that perspective, and these are some more settings that you can modify on your own. Now, what I want to talk to you about to wrap up this video is the CIS Microsoft Azure benchmark. So I mentioned that before in one of the videos. I think I said Azure Security Hardening Tool is actually a benchmark. So I need to correct myself on that one. And basically what the CIS benchmark is, it's a organization. It's a nonprofit organization. I think was formed more in the 2000s, early 2000s, I should say. And the mission is to help professionals that function, is to help people, businesses, and governments protect themselves against pervasive cyber threats. So I had to pull up the definition here on my other screen, just make sure I said it the right way. But if you go and you type in CIS benchmark, and they have a benchmark for a number of different tools, and this tool that we're referring to now is the Azure tool, and it's you'll get this. It says Microsoft Azure. This CIS benchmark is a product of a community consensus process and consists of secure configuration guidelines developed for Microsoft Azure. And the CIS benchmark will talk about how to manage and what settings you should have for external collaboration settings. So it's a great tool for you to know. You're not really going to be asked about the CIS benchmark on the SC-100, but I am here to provide you information to help you not only for this exam prep, but life prep. And it has some really good security tools that you can use, and configurations and recommendations, and also gives you a backstory about why those recommendations are there. So this would definitely help you out in terms of, being able to articulate and, drive that conversation if you're going for an interview, or even if you are now bringing up a security recommendation at your job to make yourself look a little bit better, and hopefully you get a promotion and people start noticing you and saying, okay, this guy or gal is really knowledgeable when it comes to Azure security. All right, so that wraps up the video. So we talked about how to manage your external collaboration settings in this video. We also talked about the CIS Azure benchmark guideline PDF that you can download and use for your Azure environment. Is definitely some really good information there. So if you haven't done so already, please smash that like and subscribe button. Definitely helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Once again, my name is Kieran Schross, and I want to thank you for watching. Here at Cloud Scholars, my goal is to get you from scholar to consultant, and of course, consultant to expert. Thank you. See you next time.